In a small, quiet town stood a white house near the end of the street. Inside that house lived a mother named Mira and her little son, Rian. The house was simple, with a small garden outside and a wooden bench under a big tree. The sound of birds often filled the morning air, and the smell of flowers came through the open window. But lately the house had grown quiet. Ryan was sick and his laughter was missing from the rooms. Ryan was only 9 years old, but he was braver than most grown people. He had big brown eyes and a soft smile. He loved animals, especially dogs. For as long as his mother could remember, Ryan had wanted a dog. He often told her that dogs could understand people better than anyone else. But Mira could not bring one home because they lived near a strict hospital area where pets were not allowed. Then came the day when Ryan became too weak to play outside. He spent most of his time lying on his bed, reading small books and watching the sunlight move across the wall. Mira sat by his side every day, holding his hand, brushing his hair, and whispering stories to keep him smiling. One afternoon, Rian looked at her and said something that broke her heart. He said, "Mama, I know I don't have much time, but I want to see a dog just once. I want to hug one." Mira's eyes filled with tears. She smiled even though her heart ached deeply. She told him she would make it happen. She promised. That night, when Ryan was asleep, Mira sat on the porch thinking. The air was cold and quiet. She felt helpless, but she could not break her promise. She thought about a dog shelter she had passed many times near the market. Maybe she could go there and ask them to bring a dog to visit. The next morning, after leaving Rian under the care of a kind nurse named Sada, Mira took her bicycle and rode to the shelter. The shelter stood at the edge of town, built with old red bricks and a rusty sign that said Happy Tails Rescue. Inside, the air smelled of hay and soap. Dogs barked and wagged their tails as she walked in. A man wearing a blue apron came forward. His name was Ravi. He was tall and had kind eyes. Mira explained everything to him, her voice shaking as she spoke. She told him about her son, how weak he had become, and how much he wanted to see a dog before it was too late. Ravi listened quietly. When she finished, he took a deep breath and nodded. "I understand," he said. "We have many dogs here, but there is one who might be perfect. His name is Leo. He's calm, gentle, and loves children. He was rescued from a bad place, but never lost his kind heart." Mira smiled for the first time in days. Ravi led her to a small fenced area where a golden dog was lying under the shade. When the dog saw them, he slowly got up and wagged his tail. His fur shone in the sunlight, and his eyes were warm and peaceful. Mira knelt and petted him. The dog leaned close and rested his head on her knee as if he could sense her sadness. "He's perfect," she whispered. Ravi smiled. "You can take him to visit your son, but we must follow some rules. You will have to bring him back by evening." Mira thanked him again and again. She signed the papers and Ravi gave her Leo's leash. As she walked home, Leo trotted beside her, quiet and obedient. The people on the street smiled when they saw them. It felt like the world had grown a little brighter. When they reached home, Ryan was awake. The moment he saw Leo standing in the doorway, his tired face lit up with pure joy. He sat up with effort and stretched out his arms. "Mama, he's beautiful," Ryan said softly. Leo walked slowly toward him, wagging his tail as if he knew how fragile the boy was. He rested his head on Ryan's lap. The boy's fingers sank into the dog's warm fur and a small laugh escaped his lips. It was the first time Mira had heard that sound in weeks. For hours, the boy and the dog sat together. Ryan told Leo stories about the stars, about the big park he used to visit, and about how he always dreamed of running with a dog beside him. Leo listened quietly, his tail thumping gently on the floor. Mira watched from the doorway, tears of both pain and joy in her eyes. The nurse Sada stood beside her and whispered, "He looks happy." Mira nodded. "He is. Thank you for watching him while I was gone." As the afternoon sun faded, Ryan grew tired. He lay back on his pillow while Leo curled up beside him. The sight was so peaceful that Mira could hardly breathe. For the first time, her son looked calm, even strong. But then something strange happened. When Mira tried to take Leo home in the evening, the dog refused to move. He stayed beside Ryan, watching him closely, his eyes full of something deep. Mira tried calling him again, but Leo only looked at her, then back at Rian. Rian smiled weakly and said, "Maybe he wants to stay a little longer." Mira looked at the clock. It was already late. She knew she had to return the dog, but her heart did not let her. She sent a message to Ravi explaining the situation. A few minutes later, Ravi replied kindly that Leo could stay the night if he behaved well. When Ryan heard this, he smiled again and whispered, "Thank you, Mama." That night, Mira sat in the chair by the bed, watching her son sleep peacefully for the first time in months. Leo stayed beside him, never moving, his head on Ryan's arm. The boy's hand rested gently on the dog's fur. The room was filled with quiet warmth. As midnight passed, Mira closed her eyes for a moment. She prayed silently, asking for a miracle. Maybe the love of this dog could give her son the strength he needed. She did not know how or why, but she felt something change in the air, something soft and full of hope. Outside, the stars shone brighter than usual, and inside that small white house, a bond was forming that would change everything in the days to come. Morning light touched the curtains, painting soft colors across the walls of the small room. Mira opened her eyes slowly and looked toward the bed. Ryan was still sleeping, but his face looked peaceful. Leo was lying beside him, his golden fur glowing in the sunlight. The dog's chest rose and fell gently as he breathed. It looked like both of them had found some kind of quiet comfort. Mira stood up carefully and went to the kitchen. She made tea for herself and some warm milk for Ryan. When she came back, she saw Ryan awake, smiling weakly as he petted Leo's head. "Good morning, Mama," Ryan said softly. "Leo stayed all night with me. He didn't leave me once," Mira smiled. "He is a good dog. He must like you a lot." Ryan looked at the dog with love in his eyes. "I think he understands me. When I was dreaming, I felt like he was there with me, keeping me safe." Leo wagged his tail as if he understood every word. He rested his head on Ryan's lap again, and Ryan giggled. The sound filled the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. Mira watched them quietly. Something inside her told her that Leo's presence was special. It was not just a simple visit. The dog had brought back life into the house. The air felt warmer, lighter, full of hope. After breakfast, Mira called Ravi from the shelter to ask if she could keep Leo for one more day. Ravi listened and then said, "It seems Leo has found someone he truly cares for. Let him stay another day. We can talk later about what to do next." Mira thanked him. She looked at Leo, who was now walking beside Ryan's wheelchair as she pushed him outside into the garden. The garden had not seen Ryan for weeks. The flowers had grown taller, and the grass was thick and green. When Ryan saw the sunlight again, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "It smells so nice," he whispered. "I missed the garden." Leo ran a few small circles around the bench, barking softly. He picked up a fallen leaf and brought it to Ryan as if offering a gift. Ryan laughed, the sound pure and happy. Mira sat on the bench and watched her son play gently with the dog. Every small laugh felt like a treasure to her. Hours passed. Neighbors walking by saw them and smiled. Some stopped to wave at Ryan and tell Mira that the boy looked better. Mira nodded, though she knew his sickness had not left. But she could see a spark of strength returning to him. He talked more, ate a little more, and smiled almost every hour. In the afternoon, Mira sat with the nurse Sada while Ryan and Leo rested near the tree. Sada said, "Mira, I have seen children in pain, but I have never seen a dog change someone so much in one day. Maybe love really has power we don't understand." Mira nodded. "He is not just a dog. He is like a piece of hope that came to us when we had none." That evening, Ryan asked his mother to tell him a story while Leo lay beside him. Mira told him a story about a brave boy who saved a lost puppy, and how that puppy grew to protect him for the rest of his life. Ryan listened closely, eyes shining. When the story ended, he looked at his mother and said, "Mama, do you think Leo will stay with me forever?" Mira's throat tightened. She did not know what to say. She wanted to tell him yes, but she did not want to break a promise she might not be able to keep. She placed her hand on his hair and said, "As long as Leo can, he will stay by your side. And even when he can't, you will always have his love in your heart." Ryan smiled and whispered, "That's enough for me." Later that night, when Ryan was asleep, Mira went outside and looked at the stars. Leo followed her quietly and sat near her feet. She looked down at him and said, "You have given my son something I couldn't. You have given him peace." "Thank you, Leo." Leo looked up at her, his eyes calm and deep. He didn't bark or move, but Mira felt he understood her words completely. The next few days passed in gentle rhythm. Ryan seemed stronger. He could sit longer, talk more, and even draw pictures again. He drew Leo almost every day, sometimes with wings, sometimes standing beside him under a big tree. Mira kept every drawing safe. On the 5th day, Ravi came to visit. He wanted to see how Leo was doing. When he entered the house, Leo ran to him happily, but then quickly returned to Ryan's side as if saying, "This is where I belong now." Ravi smiled. It seems Leo has chosen his family. Mira told him about how Ryan had become brighter and stronger since Leo's visit. Ravi listened and then said, "I can see it myself. Maybe Leo was meant to meet your son." Ryan looked at Ravi and said in a weak but cheerful voice, "Can Leo stay here, please? I will take care of him. He makes me feel brave." Ravi looked at Mira. He could see the hope in her eyes too. After a moment he said, "Let us make it official. Leo can stay here. He belongs with you." Ryan clapped his hands in joy, and Leo barked once as if celebrating with him. Mira's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of pure happiness. From that day, Leo became part of the family. He slept beside Ryan every night and followed him everywhere. When Ryan felt pain, Leo would place his paw gently on his arm and somehow the pain would fade a little. When Ryan laughed, Leo wagged his tail so fast that it made everyone else laugh too. Days turned into weeks. Mira noticed that her son's health was not getting worse anymore. The doctors were surprised. They said it was not common for his condition to stay stable for so long. Mira believed it was because of Leo. The dog gave her son strength that medicine could not. One afternoon, a strange thing happened. Ryan was sitting with his drawing pad, sketching a big bright sun with Leo beside him. He looked at his mother and said, "Mama, I think I can walk again soon. I feel light when Leo is near me." Mira smiled and helped him stand slowly. With Leo's leash in his small hand, Ryan took one careful step, then another. It was slow, but he did it. Mira gasped, covering her mouth with both hands. Ryan laughed and Leo barked proudly. It was a moment Mira would never forget. For months she had prayed for her son to move again, and now with Leo by his side it was happening. That night, as the stars came out, Mira sat by the window watching Ryan sleep with Leo curled close to him. She thought about how quickly life could change. Just a week ago she had begged for one last meeting between her son and a dog. Now she was watching a miracle unfold right in front of her. But she didn't know that this was only the beginning. What was coming next would test her heart once again and reveal something even more powerful about the bond between her son and the dog who had saved him. The days after Leo officially became part of the family were the happiest Mira had seen in months. Ryan's laughter returned slowly, and the house was filled with warmth again. Every morning, the boy and the dog would sit in the garden together. Ryan would throw small balls and Leo would chase them, always bringing them back gently to his small hands. Mira would watch them from the kitchen window, a smile spreading across her face. She felt hope growing stronger in her heart. One morning, Ryan woke up with a special energy Mira had not seen before. His eyes sparkled as he whispered, "Mama, today I want to explore the garden more. I want to see the old tree at the far corner." Mira looked at the garden. The far corner was full of wildflowers and small bushes. It had been years since anyone went there because the path was narrow and uneven, but she could not say no to her son's excitement. She helped him into his wheelchair and slowly pushed him toward the old tree. Leo walked beside them, his tail wagging happily. When they reached the tree, Ryan's eyes widened. Hidden behind some tall grass there was a small wooden box. The box looked old and covered in dirt, but something about it caught Ryan's attention immediately. He leaned forward and tried to open it, but it was stuck. Mira helped him carefully lift the lid. Inside the box they found something that made both of them gasp. There were small letters tied together with a red ribbon. Alongside them were faded photographs of a young boy and a golden dog. Mira carefully untied the ribbon and started reading the letters aloud. The letters were written by a boy named Anil, who had lived in the same house many years ago. In them, Anil wrote about his best friend, a golden dog named Simba. He told stories about how Simba had saved him from sadness and given him courage when he felt afraid. The letters were full of love, care, and gratitude. Ryan's small hands trembled as he listened. "Mama, it's like Leo was meant to find me," he whispered. Mira nodded, her eyes wide. "It does feel like that, Ryan. Maybe some things are meant to happen in life even if we cannot understand them." Leo, as if sensing the importance of the discovery, placed his head on Ryan's lap. The dog's warm eyes seemed to reflect the light of the morning sun, shining with something gentle and wise. Ryan hugged Leo and whispered, "Thank you for finding me." Over the next few days, Mira and Rian read more letters from the box. Each letter told stories of Anil and Simba, and each story felt strangely connected to Ryan and Leo. They laughed at the funny moments and felt tears in their eyes at the sad parts. It was as if history had quietly repeated itself in their lives. One afternoon, Mira called Ravi to share the discovery. Ravi listened carefully and said, "It's amazing. It seems Leo is carrying a special kind of love, a bond that continues from the past. Dogs like him are rare. They know how to heal hearts." Ryan smiled and looked at Leo. "Mama, I think he was waiting for me, just like Simba waited for Anil." Mira felt a shiver run through her. She knew this bond between her son and Leo was not ordinary. It was deep, pure, and powerful. She had already seen how Leo had changed Ryan's life, but now she understood that it went beyond simple companionship. The following week, Ryan insisted on going outside every day, even if it was just to sit near the garden's edge. Mira helped him carefully, and Leo always stayed close, guiding the wheelchair gently and keeping the boy safe. Sometimes Leo would sniff around the flowers or bark softly at a bird, but he always returned to Ryan's side immediately. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in orange and pink, Ryan pointed to a small hill at the edge of the garden. "Mama, I want to try something. Can I stand there with Leo?" Mira felt nervous. Ryan's strength was still delicate, and she feared he might fall. But she also knew how determined he had become. She agreed carefully, holding his hand tightly as they slowly walked to the hill. Leo walked beside them, his eyes focused and protective. When they reached the top, Ryan stopped and took a deep breath. He looked at the horizon and whispered, "Leo, I feel brave with you. I can do anything with you." At that moment, something remarkable happened. Leo stepped closer to Ryan and nudged him gently with his head. Ryan held onto the dog and, with Mira's support, took a few steps on his own. Mira's eyes filled with tears of joy. It was the first time in weeks that Ryan had stood without help for more than a few seconds. Leo barked softly, almost as if cheering him on. Ryan laughed and clapped his hands. Mira hugged both of them tightly, feeling a warmth in her heart she had not felt for a long time. That night, Ryan slept peacefully, holding Leo's paw. Mira sat by the window and looked at the stars again. She whispered softly, "Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping my son safe." The next morning, something unusual happened. Mira noticed that Leo seemed restless. He walked back and forth, sniffing the floor and the corners of the room. He barked softly and then ran to the window, looking outside. Mira and Ryan watched him curiously. Rian whispered, "Mama, he's trying to tell us something." Mira followed Leo's gaze and noticed a faint trail in the garden, as if something had moved there recently. The trail led to the old tree where they had found the wooden box. Mira's heart raced. Could it be another message or clue from the past? She helped Ryan carefully to the tree. Leo circled the tree and barked once, then started digging gently near the roots. Ryan leaned closer and whispered, "Maybe there's something else here, Mama." Mira nodded, and together they cleared the dirt. To their surprise, another small box appeared, even older than the first one. This box was locked with a small keyhole. Mira looked around and found an old rusty key hanging from a nail on the tree trunk. It seemed like it had been placed there intentionally. With careful hands, Mira opened the box. Inside, they found more letters, photographs, and even a small golden locket shaped like a paw. Ryan held it gently, feeling the warmth of the metal. "This is for you, Leo," he whispered. "You are special. You are my miracle." Leo barked softly and nuzzled Ryan's hand. Mira felt a shiver run through her. She realized that Leo was not just a dog. He carried stories, love, and hope from the past into their lives. He had chosen Ryan, and he had brought healing and courage in ways that Mira could never have imagined. From that day, Ryan and Leo's bond became even stronger. They were inseparable. Mira often watched them and thought about how life could be so mysterious, so full of surprises. A simple wish to see a dog had led to something incredible, something beyond explanation. Mira whispered to herself one evening, "Sometimes miracles come quietly, in the form of a friend with 4 paws, a warm heart, and endless love." Little did she know that the discovery at the old tree was only the beginning. What Leo had brought into their lives was bigger than just friendship. It was a lesson of courage, hope, and the magic that love could create even in the darkest times. The morning sun filled the small white house with golden light. Mira walked slowly into the garden where Ryan was already awake, sitting on the bench with Leo at his side. The boy's face was brighter than it had been in weeks. His small hands gently stroked Leo's fur, and the dog rested his head on Ryan's lap, calm and protective. "Mama," Ryan said softly, "I think I am stronger today. Can we try something new?" Mira smiled and nodded. "What do you want to try, Ryan?" "I want to explore the park again," he whispered. The park was a small one near their neighborhood. Ryan had not been able to go there for months because of his illness. "I want to see the swings, the flowers, and the big tree. Leo can come too," Mira hesitated. She had not taken him outside in such a long time. But she saw the determination in his eyes, and she knew that his heart had grown brave with Leo beside him. She agreed carefully. "We will go slowly," she said. With the nurse Sada helping and Leo walking beside them, they left the house. The fresh air filled Ryan's lungs, and he smiled at the feeling of freedom. Leo stayed close, occasionally looking back to make sure Mira was following. Children playing in the park waved, and some called out, "What a cute dog." Ryan's eyes sparkled as they reached the swings. Mira pushed him gently while Leo sat nearby, wagging his tail. For the first time in months, Rian's laughter rang out in the open air. Mira felt tears rise, but they were tears of joy this time. She held her son's small hand and whispered, "You are doing so well, Ryan." After the swings, Ryan wanted to walk a little. With Mira's support and Leo guiding him, he took careful steps along the path lined with flowers. The boy looked around in awe. Butterflies danced in the air and birds sang from the trees. He felt alive again. As they reached the big tree at the center of the park, Ryan spotted something unusual. The ground around the tree seemed slightly disturbed, as if someone had been digging there. Curious, he knelt down and asked Mira to help. Together they discovered another small box buried under the roots. This one was heavier than the last. Mira opened it carefully, and inside they found a small journal and a tiny golden tag shaped like a paw. The journal belonged to Anil, the boy from the letters they had found before. In it, he had written about his dreams, his fears, and the way Simba, his dog, had always been by his side. Rian held the golden tag and whispered, "It's like Leo is part of something bigger than us. He brings hope wherever he goes." Mira nodded, holding her son close. "Yes, Ryan. Some friends are sent to us for a reason. They help us grow and heal when we need it most." For the next few days, Rian continued to grow stronger. He could walk longer distances with Mira's support, and his energy returned slowly but steadily. Leo never left his side. The dog had a way of calming Rian when he felt pain, and of cheering him up when he felt tired or sad. One evening, Mira sat with Leo in her lap, while Ryan drew pictures of their adventures in the park. She noticed something remarkable. The boys' drawings had changed. They were no longer just sketches of dogs and trees. They showed stories of bravery, kindness, and hope. Some drawings showed a golden dog helping a boy overcome challenges, and Mira realized that Ryan was expressing everything he felt about Leo through his art. "Mama," Ryan said softly, "Leo makes me feel like I can do anything. He teaches me to be brave and kind." Mira smiled, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. "That's right, Ryan. Leo is teaching you the most important lessons of life: courage, love, and hope." Days passed, and Leo's presence continued to work wonders. Mira noticed that Ryan's doctors were amazed at his progress. His body was still fragile, but his spirit had grown stronger than they had expected. The doctors said they could not explain the sudden improvement, but Mira knew the reason. It was love. The love of a dog had given her son courage, hope, and strength. One morning, Ryan asked Mira if they could take a short trip to the river near the town. The river was calm, with smooth stones along its edges and water that reflected the sky like a mirror. Mira hesitated, worried about Ryan's strength, but he was determined. With Leo leading the way and Sada supporting him, they set off. The river was beautiful. Rian ran his fingers through the water and watched Leo chase small fish swimming near the surface. The boys' laughter echoed across the riverbank, and Mira felt a peace she had not known in months. Leo barked happily, splashing the water slightly as he played. Rian clapped his hands and laughed, enjoying every moment. As the sun began to set, Rian sat on a rock leaning against Leo. Mira watched them silently, feeling gratitude in her heart. She realized that this journey had changed more than her son's health. It had changed their family. Their hearts had grown stronger, and their bond with Leo had brought them closer than ever. That night, after returning home, Rian lay in bed, holding Leo close. Mira sat beside him and whispered softly, "You are a brave boy, Ryan. You have faced so much, and you are still growing stronger." Rian smiled, closing his eyes. "I have Leo, Mama. He gives me strength and hope." "I can do anything with him." Mira's eyes filled with tears. She realized that the dog had done more than she could ever imagine. He had not just brought joy to Ryan's days. He had brought healing to his heart, courage to his spirit, and hope to their lives. In the following days, Mira noticed that Leo seemed to sense more than ever. He would guide Ryan towards small tasks, nudge him to try walking a little further or simply stay close when Ryan felt tired. The dog had become a silent teacher, a gentle guardian, and a source of endless love. One afternoon, Mira found herself thinking about the letters, photographs, and golden tags they had discovered. She realized that life had a way of connecting people and animals in the most mysterious ways. Leo had come into their lives at the exact moment they needed him, carrying the legacy of love from the past to guide them in the present. Rian, too, had begun to understand this in his own way. He often whispered to Leo, "You are my hero. You are my friend forever." And Leo would respond with a gentle nuzzle, as if promising he would always be there. As part 4 came to a close, Mira looked around the small house. The garden was alive with flowers, birds, and sunlight. Inside, laughter and love filled the rooms. And in the middle of it all, a boy and his dog sat together, connected in a bond that was stronger than anything Mira had ever seen. She knew that whatever the future held, they had found something rare and beautiful. The power of love, hope, and courage had entered their lives in the form of a golden dog with a warm heart and a gentle spirit. The sun rose slowly over the small town, painting the sky with colors of gold and pink. Mira stood by the window looking at Ryan and Leo playing in the garden. Ryan's laughter filled the air as he tossed a small ball, and Leo chased it joyfully, bringing it back each time. Mira's heart felt full. The boy had come so far since Leo had first arrived, and she could hardly believe the change. Rian had grown stronger every day. His walks were longer, his laughter brighter, and his curiosity endless. But Mira knew that the journey was not over. She still watched him carefully, making sure he did not push himself too hard. Yet every time she looked at him with Leo by his side, she felt a sense of hope that she had never known before. One morning, Ryan woke with an unusual excitement. "Mama, today I want to go to the meadow," he said, pointing toward a green field near the edge of the town. The meadow was full of wildflowers, butterflies, and soft grass. Mira hesitated, remembering how weak he had been. But she also saw determination in his eyes. "I will be with you, Rian," she said, "and Leo will guide us." Together they set off, Mira carefully pushing Ryan's wheelchair with Leo trotting beside them. The fresh air and bright sunlight seemed to lift Ryan's spirits even higher. By the time they reached the meadow, Ryan could hardly contain his excitement. He wanted to feel the grass on his feet, the wind on his face, and the flowers in his hands. With Mira's help, he stepped down from the wheelchair and stood with Leo beside him. The dog nudged him gently with his head, encouraging him. Ryan took a small step, then another. Mira held his hand tightly and tears filled her eyes. After weeks of worry and fear, she was watching her son walk freely with Leo guiding him. Ryan laughed, a sound so bright and full of joy that it echoed across the meadow. Leo barked softly, his tail wagging so fast that the grass shook slightly. Mira felt a warmth in her heart that she had never imagined. She realized that the love and care of a dog had created a miracle. As they wandered through the meadow, Ryan noticed a small hill with sunlight falling on it. "Mama, I want to climb that hill," he said. Mira smiled gently. With her support and Leo leading the way, they slowly walked toward the hill. Each step was careful, but Ryan's courage grew with Leo's presence. At the top of the hill, Rian stood tall, holding Leo's leash and smiling at the wide, open sky. Mira stood behind him, holding his small hand. For a moment, everything felt perfect. The wind whispered through the flowers, and the sunlight shone on the boy and his dog. It was a moment of pure happiness, a memory they would carry forever. Suddenly, Leo sniffed the ground and ran toward a small patch of grass. Rian followed, curious. There, half buried in the soil, was another wooden box, smaller than the others. Ryan knelt down carefully, and with Mira's help, they opened it. Inside, they found an old golden medal and a letter. The letter was addressed to anyone who found it, and it spoke about love, friendship, and courage. Ryan held the medal in his hands, feeling its weight. "Mama, it's like all these things were meant for me and Leo," he whispered. Mira nodded, tears streaming down her face. "It is a sign, Ryan. Love has brought you strength, and Leo has been your guide through it all." That evening, Ryan sat with Leo in his room, holding the medal. Mira watched them quietly, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She knew that Leo had not just been a companion. He had been a healer, a teacher, and a miracle. Days passed, and Ryan continued to grow stronger. His energy returned fully, and he could run small distances with Leo by his side. Mira noticed that the boy's doctors were amazed. They said that his recovery was beyond what they had expected. Mira smiled silently, knowing that the real reason was not medicine but the love between a boy and a dog. One afternoon, Mira took Ryan to the park again. This time, he walked without any help, holding Leo's leash tightly. Children playing nearby watched in amazement as the boy and the dog moved together like best friends on a mission. Ryan waved at the children and said, "This is Leo. He is my best friend and my hero." Leo barked softly, nudging Ryan gently. Mira felt her heart swell. She realized that this dog had not only healed her son, but had also brought joy and inspiration to everyone around them. That night, Mira sat beside Ryan as he slept, Leo curled up at the foot of the bed. She held the small golden medal in her hands and whispered, "Thank you, Leo, for bringing hope and love into our lives. You have changed everything." Ryan stirred slightly and mumbled in his sleep, "Thank you, Leo. I love you." Mira smiled and kissed his forehead. She realized that some miracles do not come with loud announcements. They come quietly through love, patience, and the gentle heart of a friend who never gives up. The next morning, Mira noticed something remarkable. Leo was standing by the window, looking out at the rising sun. He barked softly, then ran to Ryan, nudging him gently. Ryan woke with a bright smile, feeling more energy than ever. It was as if Leo was sharing a secret, a special message from the world itself. "Mama, I feel amazing today," Ryan said, his eyes shining. "I think I can do anything with Leo by my side." Mira smiled, holding his hand. "Yes, Ryan, you can do anything. With courage, love, and hope, nothing is impossible." Over the next few weeks, Ryan's health improved dramatically. He walked more, laughed more, and even began helping Mira in small ways around the house. Leo stayed by his side every moment, offering comfort, guidance, and unconditional love. Mira felt a peace she had never known. Their lives, once filled with fear and sadness, were now filled with joy and hope. One evening, as the sun set, Mira, Ryan, and Leo sat together in the garden. The sky glowed orange and pink, and the wind whispered gently through the flowers. Mira looked at her son and the dog, feeling tears in her eyes. "You both are my miracle," she whispered softly. "Ryan, you have found strength, and Leo, you have given him love beyond measure. You have changed everything for our family." Ryan hugged Leo tightly. "I love you, Leo. You saved me, Mama. You made me strong." Leo wagged his tail and rested his head on Ryan's shoulder. Mira realized in that moment that the bond between them was unbreakable. It was more than friendship. It was love, hope, courage, and a reminder that even in the darkest times, miracles could happen. From that day forward, life became a new adventure. Ryan and Leo explored the world together, each day bringing new joy and new memories. Mira watched with a grateful heart, knowing that her son's laughter, strength, and happiness were all gifts of love. Years later, Ryan would remember Leo not just as a dog but as a guardian, a friend, and a hero who had walked into his life at the exact moment he needed him most. Mira knew that some miracles cannot be explained, only felt, and in their small house filled with sunlight, laughter, and love, the miracle of a boy and his dog lived forever.